Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mimi if you guys are new here, and if you're not new, welcome back. So today's video is going to be another Q&A. It's going to be another frequently asked questions, because I noticed a lot of these same questions are kind of coming up. But before I get started, I just want to say that I appreciate every question that I get, and I am happy that people are interested in this field. However, please do not DM me on Instagram. I would just appreciate it if you just have a comment and leave it on YouTube, and just leave the question on here, or if there's a question that you also were wondering about, just thumbs it up, so that way I know that's something that you guys really want me to answer, so I can do a video like this, so that way whenever there is frequently asked questions, I can refer them to these videos. I feel like it's just better that way, so I'm not typing out long responses or having to explain a lot of something that I've already had a video on, because I feel like that would be more helpful for people, because I feel like the more questions I'm getting, the more that I found they were kind of the same. So I just feel like this helps a lot, and it helps with not putting a lot of messages in my DMs. So yeah, I just would appreciate if you guys just keep it strictly here on YouTube for me. I would just rather have a video dedicated to the topic. I did have a couple questions today, so I wanted to go ahead and answer a few for you guys. So let's go ahead and get into the video. So the first question is it true that rad techs with an MRI creds make more than MRI only tech? I was told that MRI only techs cap out at 48, while a rad tech with MRI caps out at 68. So this is depending on who you work for and the state that you work for and all that. I can't say yes or no to this, because there is no yes or no answer when it comes to pay. It just depends on where you live and the job that you apply for, what are the requirements. I feel like from what I have personally seen, it's better when you do work for a small clinic that has a lot of patients all the time and that they don't have a lot of staff. But yeah, if you have multiple credentials, I feel like it just depends on who you work for and if they find that that's worth it to have. To be honest, I haven't had any issues finding a job with just MRI only. I've had multiple jobs already. I don't want to say oh, you get capped out at 48. Maybe that is in some cases, in some states, some cities, but in my case, it does not get capped out at 48. So as you are a professional, what do you suggest is better to do? Consider pay and just overall job for X-ray or MRI. So again, it just depends on where you work for or who you work for and your state and everything like that. So again, look into all the Indeed. That's where you're gonna find who requires what they expect of you, and what your job requires, because I feel like if you work for a place that is gonna maybe take you and do X-ray one week, MRI another week, or CT, whatever, they float you around. In order to find out that question, I would definitely say do your research in your area, check out job listings, if you know someone that works in the field. But from my experience, one of my jobs that I used to have, the CT tech used to float around and do other modalities, so she did get paid a little bit more for that. But yeah, definitely do your research before you decide on what to do, so that way you can determine whether you do X-ray or MRI first. So the next question I got was the same thing. Should I start with MRI or rad tech? So again, it just depends on you. Do you care for X-rays? Do you feel that's something that you want to do? For me, I can't personally speak on anything X-ray because I don't do that. That's not something I have a credential for. So you have to think about it too. If you do X-ray and you want to cross-train, you have to find a job that's willing to cross-train you, because that's not always guaranteed. I've talked to some CT techs that, and I asked them why they didn't do MRI, and they just said that their job didn't ever, cross-train them, or they applied and then they were never chosen because it's by seniority. So sometimes it takes a while for someone to end up learning MRI. I even read somewhere that, a comment, someone said something they were doing X-ray for 20 years before they did MRI. So I can't imagine whether the wait list for that was really long, or they just didn't, have someone to teach them, or whatever the chance may be. But it just depends. So I would say look into both modalities. I would say do research on both, because again, I can only speak on what I know, what I do. So in my experience, from future questions on about X-ray, I won't be answering anymore, just because I can't tell you guys because I don't experience that and I don't have any experience in that field. Is the pay good, and what are all your credentials, and do you think having CT2 would help negotiate your pay or not really? Again, just like what I said before, that would help answer this question because I am just MRI only. What is the schedule like for being an MRI? Do you feel like you get enough free time? I'm interested but worry about scheduling and vacation in case I want to call off. For vacations, that's something you should look into with whatever, you know, is your employer. I would say I've worked for very little PTO. I've worked for better PTO. I've worked for even unlimited PTO. So it just depends on who you work for. I would say you can negotiate your PTO with your employer if you feel like they're not giving you enough, wherever it may be. Also depends on staffing. Do they have enough staff to cover your days or whatever? This question isn't a part of this, but I've got this question like a few times before. The hours. So I've worked 410s, I've worked 312s, I worked 5/8, so I've experienced it all, and I noticed that 312s are really, really rare, and I know a lot of people like to do 312s because they want to work multiple jobs, and you can start probably do that even with 410s, like work just one job, like 1 day a week or something like that. It just really depends. I know people that work 5/8s and they still have a weekend job and they work 7 days or even like just an extra weekend day. Another question that I got is, what do you suggest a student to do to make sure they get scan time practice in clinical? Is it really up to the student? So this was regarding to one of the questions I got in my first Q&A, and it was about scan time and getting your scan time in when you are in clinical, because you are expected to kind of know, you know, at least the basics of scanning and the understanding of scanning MRI like when you graduate. And that's because you should be going through clinical and getting your hours in. The hours that you put into clinical is supposed to be like your, basically like your practice in the field, right? There has been times where I've heard from multiple people that they've gone somewhere, the tech that they're scanning with or learning from don't really care to teach, don't really have patience, or they just are overwhelmed, like, and they can't really teach them, because sometimes there's techs that get students and they have no choice in doing it because the facility, you know, says, hey, we are going to be a teaching facility, so you will be teaching somebody, and sometimes they don't like that. Some techs don't like that. And if you feel like it's not a good match and you're a student and you feel like this facility, this tech is not a good match, I would say like reach out to your school and just let them know what's going on, let them know that your concerns, because this is a lot of money you're spending to learn something, and if you're not learning anything out of it, it's going to be completely useless to you when you get out and you go into the field and you don't know really what you're doing, and it's not going to do you any good. So I recommend reaching out to your school to try to see if they're willing to move you, because that's really scary to like go through this whole like educational process and then you walk out of it with just bookwork knowledge and not really like hands-on scan time knowledge, you know what I mean? Someone left a question saying, can you shed some light on the following? How's one to get CRT with, they put ARP, but I think they meant to put ART. MR only. It looks like CRT is required for employment in California, even for MRI only. For what I see, it's mainly Kaiser. Kaiser wants you to have your CRT for whatever reason. From what I heard multiple different things, but what I heard is that they are one department. So when you are X-ray, CT, or MRI, it's like under one department, one manager, one management group, whatever. They kind of want to make sure like whoever can do whatever, they can send them to that department. Let's say like X-ray is low on techs, they can just send someone from MR over there, or vice versa, you know? So I think it just depends on who you work for. Hey guys, so clearly I'm home and everything, but I just finished editing this video, and when I was going through my comments, I actually got 2 more questions I just wanted to add into this video because I'm not sure when I will be able to do another Q&A, so I thought I would just add it in here so that way there's like more information out there for you guys. So this question is, hi Mimi, thank you for your video. As an MRI tech, do you have to lift and turn patients? I'm also considering MRI but afraid of the physical demands. Thank you. So in MRI, you do have to lift and turn patients if you need to. Like,
it just depends. Also, if you work in a hospital, there's people that are sick every day coming to see you. So you do have to do lifting. And of course, there's going to be people there to help you. There's, you know, transport team, nurses and stuff like that. However, it is expected of you to have to do it if they're not around. Also, like even when you work in an outpatient and you're by yourself, you might be expected to do it as well if like the patient cannot get on top of the table, because a lot of these MRI tables, they don't go very low. They're actually very, very high up. So elderly people with, you know, like a broken bone or something like that, can't get themselves up, can't really turn, lower back problems, you name it, they probably have it, and that's the reason why they're coming to get an MRI. But yeah, take that in consideration. Like, you don't really get to choose what kind of patients you get, and you don't get to choose sometimes what scanners you get to scan on. If it's an older scanner, it might have a lot of very heavy coils to be changing the table all the time. You do have to change the table. Sometimes you'll get a day where like you don't have to change the table really at all till like maybe 4 o'clock or whatever. And some days you're changing the table after every single patient. Like it might be an abdomen, then a lumbar, and then a brain, and then, you know, a knee, and then this. Like you're lifting up coils all the time, moving them, changing your table back and forth, and then getting the patients on, off, on, off. So that might be physically demanding to you. So maybe this might not be the job for you. All right, guys, the last question is, what job do you recommend for someone wanting to be a rad tech? I would say becoming a tech aide would be the best thing, a radiology tech aide. You'll be able to see like all the modalities, things that we do, the workflow and everything like that. And you get to see like a little bit more of like our day-to-day, like not just like behind the scenes. Another one would be like maybe a front desk, but sucks like when you're a front desk at some places, you might not be able to like see or do very much with radiology. Another one could be what is it called? Scheduler. You can be a scheduler for radiology, because then you can see the orders that we get, the reasons for exams and stuff like that, helping patients get the right exam. But that also gets routed to us as technologists, so we approve these exams though too. So you might be able to learn some when you like talk to the techs and like learn some things about it. But anyway, I'm going to end the video here. I do have other Q&A videos. If you guys haven't gone around to watching them, I'll link them down below for you guys. Check them out. Maybe your question wasn't answered in this video, but it might have in another. But thank you so much for watching and submitting some questions. I will talk to you guys real soon. Bye.